We are about to start some racing action, actually. So we're going to have two races today. We're going to have 13-minute qualifying sessions for both races. The first race is 20 minutes. The second race is 15, but it is Battle of the Exhibitors. It's on RaceRoom. The first race will be at the Red Bull Ring, we think, and the second one at the Norris Ring. But who better to bring us the action than Alex and Corby? Here we go.
Thank you very much, Luke. Well, Corby,
yeah,
time for racing.
Finally.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's the first day, and we already have our first race like right ahead of us waiting.
Yeah, so as Luke said, two 13-minute qualifying sessions, 20 minutes for the first race. It's going to be full throttle, pedal to the metal all the way, and then a shorter race, which is going to be a bit more fast and furious, I think.
I think generally the races will be quite fast and furious because no one really has much to lose. There's no super high prize pool, but there's honor, I think, on the line, and I think that might be a quite spicy thing here.
Well, apart from honor, the words bragging rights.
Yes.
Yeah, we're the best this year.
Imagine you getting smashed by your competitor on the Expo. Like, imagine what you have to listen to for the next 3 days. And
also the after parties, if there are.
Yes.
So everyone's getting a briefing now ahead of this, but RaceRoom, one of the mainstays in terms of simulations, with esports TCR, the DTM Esports Championship, the ADAC GT Masters.
I mean, they got everything.
They've got everything. I mean, they've even got the trucks from the European Truck Racing Championship just recently released, and they're like 1,000 horsepower. You've got water-cooled brakes. But we're going to be putting all these drivers. I mean, I've even had Tom Bunty from Grid Finder ask, what tracks are we racing at? What cars are we racing at? So he's trying to get, I said to him, well, you need to bring your A game. He said, well, what A game have I got? And I just went, well, you're going to be playing A game anyway.
Yeah.
So this is where the fun really begins for you, me, and also we'll have Paul Glover in with me for the professional trophy on Saturday. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the teams have to say because there's still work going on in the paddock. I see bins full to bursting point. Actually, it looks more like a skip that's just literally overflowing with containers, wrappers. There's been a lot of logistical work getting all the equipment here to the Nürnberg Messe.
I mean, they have one more full day to finish the paddock because tomorrow we are also going to be driving here from the RaceRoom simulators on the Community Trophy final.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, the teams move to their own boxes or the teams will be driving from their own team booths.
And also tomorrow we'll actually be speaking to some of the teams and the drivers from the community, from the professional trophy.
I'm hoping to get a word by someone, but I think Holger, the guy in the middle, he's the one from RaceRoom responsible. You might have seen him on some talk panel today, I think.
Well,
already?
I've had the pleasure of talking about English dialects and accents over the last day and a half, which has been rather entertaining. I'm not going to go into that one because that's not going to be PC. But the thing is, the driver's briefing for any competition, real life or sim racing, is very, very important. And everyone has to play by the rules. Even these exhibitors.
Yes, even though this is kind of like a fun race, a fun competition, you still need to get everyone on the same page about what is allowed, what is not allowed. I mean, they are probably going to put their elbows out as much as they can, but some manners would be nice.
As we say in the United Kingdom, mind your P's and Q's, cross the T's, dot the I's, cross yourself, and hope it all goes well.
Yeah.
But let's see. Right.
Okay,
right. I'm going to grab him. Right, talking about tyre pressures that are all wrong.
Yes.
Tom from Grid Finder. Tom, it's really nice to kickstart the racing action off with you guys getting behind the wheel. I did mention about the fact that you're saying, well, where is my A game? This is a lot of fun for you guys, isn't it? Because everyone gets a chance to go for bragging rights through the exhibitors.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. It's so nice being around all the other people that we speak to all year round on like various Zoom calls, to see them in person and then to embarrass ourselves on the track with them. It's going to be a lot of fun. I actually got dragged into this last year. I was on the stage for the touring car race, and I hadn't practiced. It was last minute. One of the drivers dropped out, and it was very embarrassing. In fact, me and my good friend Bunatic, Stefan, we were just going around at the back having our own little race, like several laps behind, but we were having more fun than everyone else, I think.
Yeah, I think the fun is a big part, but how do you fancy your own chances this year for the race?
Silence speaks volumes, folks.
I guess it depends on whether you will find your A game somewhere in the halls of the ADAC.
Then find it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not holding out much hope. But it'll be fun. It'll be fine. It'll be nice to share the track. Political answer.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I don't deserve to be here.
But maybe some elbows out, some annoying your competitors a bit, or are you planning on playing fair?
I'll play fair. I'll play fair up to my abilities to play fair.
Okay, there's already the excuse for when something happens. I already hear that.
That or tire pressures.
All right, good. I don't know. Alex has someone else.
Yes, I do. From SimRacing GP, Dan joins me. It's quite nice for you all to blow off a little bit of steam, have a bit of a laugh, even though there is every chance that someone's going to get yeeted going into T1, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Yannick has very much let me know that I've got a target on my back. So as long as I can avoid him, I think we'll have a good time. It'll be good fun.
I mean, again, having a LAN event after last year, it's great to see people actually being able to talk face-to-face rather than having to do a Teams meeting or a Zoom call or voice chat on Discord like we've been doing since the professional trophy started with the qualifiers earlier on this year. It's so good to be here and actually have that social aspect. And that's what brings the community together in the bigger sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we come to this event, we were obviously here last year as well. It just makes it so much better that you can come in, you can see people, you can talk to people. Like I say, people we've been talking, for months online, doing the Pro Trophy and bits and pieces like that, and then to come here and be like, not even handshakes, but hugs, and just like crack on and get everything that we need to get done.
It's like everyone is like a big family coming together finally for the big reunion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like some of us have, like me and Alex and the rest of the Kavana team and our SGP team have worked together since probably like March, April time with the Pro Trophy. So to actually come here
and never having seen each other probably in real life.
I mean, we've got really used to how Teams work.
Yes.
But I still don't know how to share a screen, but that's fine.
You get to know all its features.
But yeah, like I say, to come here, see Alex, see Danny, see Misha, see all the team and everyone else, all the other companies that are present as well. It's been awesome.
Dan, we'll let you get to it. Good luck tonight. Yannick Haustein. Yannick, get your backside over here. We're going to have to bring him in.
You will not escape us today.
Tried my hardest. I tried my best, sorry.
The difficult question first. Who's going to get yeeted out in the first corner, or who are you planning to yeet out?
Well, I can't have Dan Terry beat me, that's for sure. He's already ahead on the Logitech leaderboard, so that can't stand. Apart from that, it's probably going to be me who gets yeeted, but we shall see.
All right.
Well, Yannick, have a good one out there, mate. I think we'll leave it on that front from the interview side.
Yes.
But really, this is where it gets real. I think, as we would say here in Germany, Gänsehaut pur.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yes.
Hairs
all
standing
over
on the back of my neck.
Until your toes.
Yeah, it's like you've got that really, like you've got the butterflies in the stomach, but it's the good feeling. It's none of this nervous rubbish. And I think as the drivers are now signing on, thanks to the assistance of Holger here at the RaceRoom team.
Shouts out to Holger and the RaceRoom team once again for making this possible.
And without people like RaceRoom Experience, obviously SimRacing GP, and all the exhibitors here, this would not be possible. And I think I speak on behalf of everybody that the amount of panels that we've got this year, I mean, it's great to see, in one day I see two people who I know from the DTM paddock, Mike Rockenfeller and Bruno Spengler, here in person. We've even seen Tony Kanaan, IndyCar legend, here as well.
And we're only on the B2B day. Like, it is not even open to the public yet. So we are just getting started.
We're just getting warmed up, folks. So myself and Corby, we're going to head to the commentary box. But join us very shortly as we go into race time here for the first of 4 days at the ADAC SimRacing Expo for 2022. Don't forget, get involved on social media, get involved in the chats on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook, and use the hashtags SRE22 and SimRacing Expo. Myself and Corby will be back with you in just a couple of minutes' time.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told ya I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. Do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car, take it tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro.
Right, folks, welcome back. It's time to go racing for the first of 4 days. And you know what, Corby? I'm so pumped.
Yes.
RaceRoom. We've got the Exhibitors race, so it's a 13-minute qualifying session for both races. We're kick-starting things off, though, folks, in Styria at the iconic Red Bull Ring. The only person in Formula One history of that nation to win there, 3-time world champion, and no longer with us, the late, great Niki Lauda, who, funny enough, for those that aren't already aware, that the road at Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One has been named Lauda Drive in his honour quite recently, which is a fantastic bit of news. But the Red Bull Ring, Styria, a fantastic circuit filled with changes of elevation. We're going to be running the Formula 4 cars. And single-seaters, a great way to kick off the racing action here at the SimRacing Expo.
I think it couldn't be better. I think it will be, in some sense, a mess, because it will be difficult to drive for the exhibitors.
Yes.
But at least they have the track with them. I think the Red Bull Ring in Styria is one of the classics we have right now, especially seeing the double feature in Formula One at the beginning of, I think, 2020 season when COVID was still there.
Yeah.
It is such a classic track that always gives good racing. You have 3 long straights. You have overtaking opportunities all over. It is near a perfect racetrack, I think.
Yeah, the track formerly known as the Österreichring and then later the A1 ring.
Yes.
A1,
quite some history.
Yeah, A1 at some point was affiliated with the DTM back in the days, I think, if I remember correctly. Well, no, it was D2 Telecom, actually, if I remember correctly. However, Formula 4 has been spanning the globe. British Formula 4 powered by Rocket. I mean, there's been the F4 Esports League that's been happening through Motorsport UK quite recently. Spanish Formula 4, Italian Formula 4, US Formula 4. The amount of Formula 4 championships that have sprung up around the world is just absolutely ridiculous. Quite funnily, Rubens Barrichello's son, Fernando Barrichello, this week has been in Valencia testing F4 Spain.
Yeah, and if Fernando isn't the perfect first name for someone named Barrichello, I mean, it's like the perfect mixture between Fernando Alonso and Rubens Barrichello. Like, he has to be a good racer. There is no other way.
No, I mean, the thing is, his older brother Eduardo was in action. Well, funnily, you can see the T-shirt. I was at the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Portimao. Funnily enough, met Rubens and Eduardo. Rubens didn't get, unfortunately, through to the Grand Final, but his son did, and was 5th out of 72 of the best drivers in the globe. And we had 394 drivers, 60 different nationalities. But enough about karting. We've talked about enough of that. And thank goodness you won't see a Rotax bit of garment from me for the rest of the week. Thank goodness. But this circuit, though, the biggest overtaking opportunities. You know, going through that right-hander at turn 1, it's a 90 right. We're seeing some of the drivers now getting... right. I recognise that face. That's Yannick Hauerstein representing the SimRacing Expo. You can see he's all geared up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and I hope he'll do a good job to represent the Expo here well. Otherwise, I'm going to slap him afterwards.
We're not going to repeat what you might do to him, because otherwise we might be taken off air. But great to see, like, we've even got Cube Controls, the SimRacing Hub, Grid Finder, SimRacing GP, and from that, Get Closer Racing, one of the, who's got one of the many exhibitors here at Hall 9. Now, I have been nerding out today, I will be honest with you, but it's been great.
That's the point of being here, right?
Exactly.
The point of being here is living your hobby, living your passion, and that's sim racing, and that's why we are here.
Exactly. Now, one of the nicer things about the simulators here on the RaceRoom Experience stand, they are identical. They've got the same screens, they've got the same Asher racing steering wheels, the same pedals, the nice little details. I mean, you guys and girls watching at home, you'll actually see that those seats that they're sitting on has the actual RaceRoom logo stitched in to the front and the rear of the seat, and what's more, on the stands on the televisions, as we just saw on the cameras on the shots that you're watching at home, that it has the RaceRoom logo there. So it is fully branded up, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have the nice Logitech speakers in front and in the back to give you the full surround sound experience of the cars. So I think that's a very interesting aspect. Generally, when we talked about it, like in the paddock walk before, that every team brings his own simulator. This is exactly completely different. The opposite here, we have same simulators. We probably have same setup for everyone. We have like an even playing field. The only thing that is different is the skill of the driver. So this is truly like who is the best. Yeah,
I mean, ADAC are also involved in this. I mean, when you've got someone like Kevin Magnussen as your ambassador, I don't think you could have anybody else. But Corby, take us through some other bits of history for the Red Bull Ring, because we've already touched on a couple, haven't we? So circuit length, amount of corners, some trivial side of things.
So circuit length, 4.318 kilometers, rather short generally, only 10 corners, 7 right-handers, so typically your left front wheel is not happy when you drive the course. Let's put it like this. Was founded the Österreich-Ring at least in 1969 with an opening 1,000-kilometer race won by Joseph Siffert and Kurt Ahrens. And the most interesting thing about this is Helmut Marko, the one we know as the guy behind Red Bull Racing's
development program.
Yeah, especially finding all the drivers. He drove this opening race back in 1969 and got to the 8th place. It's like fantastic how history kind of all comes together, and now he's on the team, or like that's owned by the same company as the track.
Yeah, exactly. Joseph, a legend in Swiss racing circles, sports cars, and also in Formula One. We are hopefully going to be getting underway very shortly with timed qualifying. But the Formula 4 cars, they're great. It was a category that was created by the FIA, as well as an entry level. So the ladder basically goes Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2, and then Formula 1. There's a whole lot of side categories within Formula 4. So you can do multiple championships. I mean, Ollie Behrman has done that quite recently. So there's a lot of it. I mean, look at it from this perspective. Formula Academy Finland, Formula Pro US Western, Formula Academy Sudamericana, the JAF, which runs the Super GT, which is still using the Class 1 regulations. They have Japanese Formula 4. Canada have one. We've got the Central European Zone and the Drexler Formula 4 Cup, USF Juniors, GB4 Championship. But, folks,
we're into qualifying.
Here we go. So the first few cars make their way out. Well, pretty much 90% of the grid. So in this early stage here, Corby, it's going to be getting that ultra-clean banker lap and then start to push, because they're going to be on cold tyres, cold brakes, especially going into T1, threading it up the hill into that fearsome, turn 2 isn't really a turn. It's like effectively a kink.
It is a straight.
It's a kink.
Yes.
So, but then turn 3 is where we're going to see quite a lot of action. We've got Alexander from ADAC in the Beltec Racing colours, making his way down towards Haag in turn 4. So throughout this weekend, any track that has a corner name, said corner name will be used.
Yeah, so you can learn a bit about your track trivia, and maybe on Guess the Corner you will be the expert next time.
Maybe those corners might not be relating to our game show on Saturday afternoon.
We will see how everything turns out while we see the cars going into turns 6 and 7 here, making the race around the circuit. I'm looking forward to what times we will see by them. It will be quite interesting how fast they can go.
Yeah, I mean, on the banker lap, you're always going to be a little bit slower. You're going to be off pace, but then by the time you've had all the cars go round the circuit, you'll have a little bit of track evolution. The tyres will get up to temperature, and thereby you can start pushing that envelope. But we all know that there is a limit of adhesion. Could we find some people in qualifying getting it wrong before we even get the racing started? And that's going to be even more entertaining when we go lights out. So we got Tom from
and then we have to ask for
well, our question was answered on the entrance to the pit lane here at the
Who was that?
Not too sure, but we got track limits already being exceeded coming out of turn 10. So
people are already fighting for track position.
Calm down,
Come on,
calm down. We've not even got through qualifying yet, and they're banging down each other's doors like nobody's business. So we're going to find out. Ronnie from Heusingfeld coming up the hill.
Beautiful livery.
Sparks, sparks flying from the car in front. The number 25. So they're going to be making their way down. Now, this is where the elevation changes really come into effect, because you've got a very, very long run up from turn 1 to turn 3, and then you've got this undulation. It's a bit like the Bud International Circuit, where you've got some undulation, a bit like a roller coaster. You're going up and down the peaks and troughs.
It's a very beautiful circuit, kind of built in a flank of the mountain on one side. So technically also very nice for the viewers if you're actually there, because you can see a lot over the entire track, which is not the case in many other tracks. So it's generally just beautifully situated in the Alps in Styria. I think that's also a big plus.
It's one of the tracks also on my bucket list as well.
Yes,
Jules from Nacon, who are the publishers who work with Kiloton on the now fantastic WRC generations, which those coming to the Expo, you will be able to test drive it, as well as seeing one of the fantastic Citroën WRC cars. The Citroën C3 WRC is on their stand. Jules has gone purple in Sector 2, but it looks like Alexander...
a bit far.
Yeah, Alexander from Azatec has just put in the fastest lap with 8 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock to go. 1 minute 37.650, and he's already gone purple in Sector 1 in the next lap by over 3/10. We're going to find out. So between turn 6 and 7, that's where we break the beam for Sector 2.
Yes.
But it's looking a bit close between the top 6, covered by just under 1.1 seconds already.
I'm actually surprised by how close this is. I was expecting a bit more of a gap between them and a bit of a more of a diverse field, because, I mean, we don't have it like in the community or the professional trophies, like professional drivers. They are just the exhibitors. But I think this is quite promising also for what we are going to see in the race.
Well, Alexander from Azatec again goes purple. Look at the sector time. He's up by over a second and 3/4.
He must have practiced. Like
he's had a heads up, or he's a ringer. Either one of the two. I'm hoping it's going to be the former, because he's going to come through the final double right-hander through turns 9 and 10. As Azatec for with Alexander being behind the wheel, comes out of the final corner. 1 minute 37.650 is the time to beat. I think we're going to be below the 1 minute 35s as he comes across the line. 1 minute 35.689. Gap to Ronnie from Heusingfeld, nearly 2.5 seconds.
2.5 seconds indeed to Yannick Haustein from the Expo, who's then on 3rd place. So still some improvements to
now
do.
Goes up to 2nd. So Yannick Haustein, representing the SimRacing Expo, goes up into P2, 1.266 seconds. But Alexander from Azatec is absolutely doing a number on the rest of them at the moment. I hate to think what's going to be happening in the race, because...
that might be like a start-finish win.
It could be, but that depends on what happens behind. And we know, we've already had chats with Dan Terry from SimRacing GP and Yannick Haustein himself, and it's sort of like saying, yeah, Yannick's got the target on his back, and he's sort of like, Yannick getting a bit
There might be some yeeting going on. There might be a bit of contact.
A bit of elbows out, a bit of argy-bargy, and someone's going to get yeeted to the shadow realm, I think, at one point.
Yes.
We've got Fabrizio from Cube Controls, currently sitting P4, 2.2 seconds off, has just improved in the first sector by just under 4/10 as we're getting into the final 6 minutes of time qualifying here in the wonderful Styrian countryside here at the Red Bull Ring. Fabrizio makes a bit of an unfortunate mistake there.
Yeah. But as we know, like Bob Ross told us, we don't make mistakes, we just have happy little accidents.
That's a good way of putting it there. But Dan from SimRacing GP, obviously we had his colleague Steve Worrell on one of the fantastic panel talks that we've had. Folks, don't forget to get involved on social media using SGP22 and SimRacing Expo. And please keep the comments flooding in on the chats on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch throughout today and the rest of today, because we have
the racing action still ahead of us. We're still into qualifying.
We do. But we're enjoying it now. Dan from SimRacing GP overcooks it coming out of turn 9.
At least manages to catch it back up and not go into the wall. So still some time left, probably with like 1:35 lap times. About 2 to 3 timed laps still possible. Still some room for improvement.
Dan could have gotten into underneath the 1:40s there. He was on a very, very good lap. He'd made up a total of 3.5 seconds through the first 2 sectors. As we now return to Yannick Haustein representing the SimRacing Expo. You can see the face of concentration from the man based out of Braunschweig.
I think Yannick is a real tricky one here because he really wants to win this. He's incredibly ambitious in those things.
My ears are burning right now, Corby, on that. Tom from Gridfinder, has made it up to 3rd position. Someone in front has just gone off the track, and that was nearly a redress like at Bathurst between Scott McLaughlin and Garth Tander a few years ago. But Alexander from Azatec, purple in sector 2 by 1/10. Is he going to extend that advantage? He does. 1:35.433 over 2/10 quicker. 3 3/4 minutes left in qualifying here at the Red Bull Ring. Fabrizio from Cube Controls looks to be a bit more planted. And 1:37.686 comes out of turn 9, named after the late Jochen Rindt. And a little bit wide coming out of the final corner, but is that going to scupper his lap? Still currently P5, comes across the line. It's going to be close. And that is an improvement, but that might have been an invalidated lap by exceeding track limits coming out of the final corner. And again, Alexander from Azatec SimSports is flying around this circuit. 81 thousandths up in the first sector.
On his own time.
On his own time, with no slipstream assistance. Yes. We're going to see plenty of that in the race coming up next, folks. We're coming into the last 3 minutes of time qualifying, and Alexander from Azatec has been doing an absolutely sterling job. Yes. And the gap between him and Yannick Haustein, look, up again by nearly 1/10.5 in sector 2. We could be looking at very close to a very low 1:35. So based on calculations, that's going to put us on a 1:35.2. As he makes his way down into turn 9, nice and neat and tidy, rotating the car through, letting it drift a little bit wide, not going too far off the track. Nice tight turn in, but it's a bit late. It's a bit wide coming out of that final corner, and that has caught out many a driver, including those in Formula 1, as he comes across the line. And that lost him all that time, all that hard work. 2/10 up turned into 7/10 down.
Yeah, and probably also makes your next lap useless because you don't get a good run through the start-finish straight, and then it's already done over for this one. But he might get another chance to extend his lead here. Generally, if you're looking at the grid, more or less we have a quite competitive pack in the middle, roundabout from place 4 up until 10. Where there's only about a second, but less separated.
Jules from Nacon has just gone up to P5, 1:37.463. So these drivers will only have, this will be their final flying lap of this qualifying session. So they've got to, well, they're going to either do one of two things, win it or bin it. Branimir from the Racing Hub goes P11, an improvement there. Still has time to set another lap. Puts in a 1 minute 39.644. Puts him in 11th position. And still, you know what? Even though the fact that we've got exhibitors kicking off the racing action here at the SimRacing Expo, to see all 12 cars covered by just under 4.9 seconds just shows the fact that they have their own skill set, they have their own skill level, and what that also means is we get to see them evolve over the course of these 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. As the time now hits 40 seconds to go, Corby. I'm wondering what has Yannick Haustein been sandbagging is the big question I need to ask here. Well, he comes out of the final corner, and it's not good. It doesn't.
That won't be an improvement, I think.
No, there we go. So, Corby, take us through the results, my friend.
We have Alexander Asatek on the pole position with a 1:35.433. By far, actually, the best lap, about 5/10 ahead of Yannick Haustein, driving for the ADAC SimRacing Expo. Then we have Tom S. for Grid Finder. We have Toby. No, we have Jules on
P4.
On P4. Spinning around a bit here, or whoever that is, celebrating the good qualifier and getting ready for the racing action.
Yes, 20 minutes for the first race, 15 minutes for the second. So what we're doing is we're making it a little bit more fair in terms of, rather than what the community trophy has been over the course of 2022 for this year, what we've decided to do, and it's not just for tonight's racing. Tomorrow's racing is going to be exactly the same, where we're going to have 2 qualifying sessions, 2 20-minute races. There is going to be none of this top 10 reverse grid malarkey like we had in the community trophy right up until this point. But yeah, you can. I've got chills. I really have. I mean, it's been quite cold here in Nuremberg. I mean, we
don't have the chills because it's cold.
No. we are just excited, folks, and I know for a fact that you'll hopefully are too. And really nice to see so many people watching along for what we are going to experience in just a moment's time. So what they will do is they will curtail the session and grid them up, ready for qualifying. So Formula 4, Red Bull Ring. So, I mean, first of all, this circuit, it never gets old, does it?
No.
It's such a timeless classic. And I think from my perspective, start it off with single-seaters at the Red Bull Ring. I think, folks, it's a pretty good starter, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
I know you definitely agree.
I fully agree on this. I mean, I'm looking so much forward to the racing action we are going to see now, because it's not only the track, it's also the drivers who are going to send it into those corners, send it into turn 1, send it into turn 3 in the Ramos corner, like crazy, and this will be entertaining, poor.
Well, folks, who's your money on? I've got absolutely no idea, but they're gridding up.
I've got my money on Yannick Haustein because I think he's going to yeet someone out, but we are going to see as the lights go red, and we are about to go racing for the first time at the ADAC SimRacing Expo 2022. All drivers getting ahead. A quite big start running down into turn 1. We have still from Azotec into turn 1, standing ahead, taking the lead. Yannick Haustein on a solid 2nd place. And back there we have some more racing action. We have some contact between the orange car and the yellow car there.
It's going to be one of those things. Yeah, so we've got a great battle here. Jules from Nacon battling away. It was 3 abreast a little bit further down the order as
some more contact
up the inside tries to go Jules in the 4th place car, running in the Deutsche Post Renn team livery, but it's Alexander from Azotec. It's going to be side by side for 3rd position. And the switchback attempt is tried by Jules from Nacon, who pulls it to the outside. Yannick Haustein from representing the SimRacing Expo. Left rear wheel goes on the dirt, and so I think for Jules from Nacon as well.
Yes.
But they are coming down the hill for the first time, and that mistake has cost Yannick Haustein early. We're riding on board from Lucas, representing the ADAC, currently sitting in 7th position, and is around about... what is that? That's about 0.6 of a second behind Fabrizio from Cube Controls, who's up the road at the moment. It's so funny. the amount of cars that we've got, the amount of similar liveries, it's going to be difficult for us to pick this out. With the DTM cars from the ITC in 1995,
it might be a bit easier.
That was a hell of a lot easier. Oh, bit wide there for Lucas from the ADAC. Tobias from Speedy Rugs currently sitting in 6th position, as after the first lap, Alexander from Azatec Corby has nearly a 1.6 second lead ahead of Yannick Haustein.
And if this is going to stay that way, I don't see how this is going to change, to be honest, after how he performed.
Beautiful move. Jules from Nacon has just gone round the outside, but exceeded track limits in the process, going through turn number one.
He doesn't really care, to be honest.
Well, here comes a NASCAR reference, folks. It was high, wide and handsome on that one. Tobias from Speedy Rugs looking to the outside. This is going into turn 3.
Difficult to overtake on the outside, but might switch it back on the inside now, going up onto turn 4. Another big straight ahead and maybe some slipstream to get, but also looking to take the outside line on turn 4, and there it's very, very difficult to overtake, especially if you get pushed wide. You might get onto the gravel.
Oh, Alexander from Azatec at the moment has had a drama, and that has put him into the clutches of the SimRacing Expo's very own Yannick Haustein. Gap is now half a second. I'm wondering if Alexander accidentally dropped it. He's nearly dropping it again, going through the next corner through turn 7. Now into the right-hand kink, they're going to go for turn 8. And I think that Alexander from Azatec thought, yeah, I'm cool, I'm comfortable.
But let's give the viewers a show.
Yes, give them. I'm just going to drop it just to see what happens. And he drops it like a good one as we ride on board. Coming, this is on the front left wing, so you can see here coming out of turn 10 on the rumble strips. Gap still is about half a second.
And maybe the smaller gap is what Yannick Haustein needed to keep up with Alexander from Azatec in order to give us a battle for the lead of the race and to give us a battle for the race win, because the slipstream on the straights is actually a quite big thing in Austria.
Yeah, I mean, if you can also get the overspeed using the side draft, if you pull alongside, I mean, we all know what happened between Alexander Albon and a certain 7-time Formula 1 world champion a couple of years ago at this very circuit through turn 4. Someone went high, wide and handsome around the outside, and the other one got pinged for a 5-second time penalty. However, this is fun. This is great because you can now see that Jules from Nacon is back down in 4th position. So maybe he's had a little drama as well. And you can see there is a 4, maybe 5 car train from 3rd backwards. So there's no Jarno Trulli train here, folks. But we're not even a quarter of the race in. But the gap is still, it's stabilising a little bit, or it might be extending depending on the different apex, the different approaches to the apex that both, I've just seen Yannick Haustein, oh dear. Yannick Haustein comes to a corner and whoops, 2 wheels in the kissy and he does it again through turn 8.
We'll have to talk about that after the race.
I don't think those Sparco race gloves are working for him right now.
Maybe you should get him a bit of a better pair of gloves for the next race, so he maybe can take the lead home for us.
Well, there's several companies. Maybe you say you can head over to Azatec, maybe get a free set. You never know if he asks nicely.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, exactly. So, battle here. Now we're on board with Jules from Nacon, going up in towards T1. This is the battle for P3. Now, 3rd place. Oh, very hard and very late on the brakes.
Even someone later on the brakes.
Well, no, someone just went, right, I've missed my braking point and turned right. But yeah, you can now see the overspeed really showcasing it going through into turn 2, and that's Fabrizio from Cube Controls. There's a Danny Rick, sends it up the inside, locks up on the braking. It's 3 abreast, and Jules is around. Whoa, hold the phone, folks. It was 3 wide, and then people like Ronnie from Heusingfeld absolutely profit from that one. And the thing is, folks, they are in the same building, they are on the same simulators, and there will be a discussion, hopefully not heated, post-race 1.
They are not even 20 meters apart from each other right now. And there we have Dan. No, who is it? Going very wide and...
That was Jules from Nacon, I believe, who went straight on
to the barrier.
That was definitely. I possibly got no front wing. The aerodynamics. I mean, this is.
Who needs a front wing?
Well, if it was Formula Ford, you wouldn't have wings. You'd have basically slicks. But you've got slicks and wings here. Tobias from Speedy Rugs rounding out the top 5. Now looking for a move going into, that is going to be turn 9.
That's ambitious. Not a typical overtaking spot on the track, but mainly just a way to get yourself into position. Then for the run into turn 1, we have another very close fight between Andy from the Deutsche Payment.
Yep, and has got the overspeed coming out of the final corner. Now, is Andy going to look to send it up the inside of turn 1? We are going to find out very shortly. Doesn't look to be the case, and just holds back. It was a bit sideways. And that was Dan Terry from SimRacing GP getting it all crossed up sideways here in Styria.
Having a bit of fun.
You know what? This is the great way. You know, this is Tobias. Oh, you can hear him locking up under the brakes as well.
And you see how careful the driver ahead of him is, like, oh my God, he's going to send it. No, I am going to go wide. Give him a lot of space.
Please no, Punterino.
Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me.
Yeah, so Fabrizio's just lost the position and has dropped down to 8th place. And that was Lucas from the ADAC taking 7th position, who's getting very late on the brakes. So I think he was closing in on, I think that might have been Andy from Deutsche Payment, but you can see now they are line astern. So Fabrizio right up the exhaust pipe.
Oh, and then they missed his braking point by a few meters, and then it's already gone.
Yeah, that just goes to show the minimal tolerances you have for opening the door and then just opening both barn doors and the other person goes straight through. And that's a perfect textbook example. But in the meantime, at the front of the field, Alexander from ADAC SimSports has cantered away, nearly 3.1 seconds ahead. And there's Yannick Haustein coming into the shot there, 2.96 seconds adrift.
Yes. So I guess kind of the picture we got from qualifying shows in the race. We have Alexander from ADAC very comfortably driving on first place. Like, for him, I feel like it's a how can he contain himself? He doesn't need to go to the very limit. He needs to play it safe. And I felt like he might have overdone that a bit by the mistake in the first few laps. But now he realized, now he's into the groove. Now he's just driving this home.
We could have actually taken a musical reference out of that right then, but I'm not going to do that here. We want to talk about sim racing. But Alexander from ADAC doing a fantastic job. I think your prediction of him saying lights out to checkered flag might be pretty good.
Yeah,
but
wasn't very difficult though.
But touch wood, that doesn't happen, because if he does bin it, then Yannick Haustein will be rubbing his hands and smiling like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. But we still got 10 minutes and 45 seconds to go, folks, and that gap is now extending to nearly 3.5 seconds. A little bit further back, though, there is a battle emerging. We've got Tobias from Speedy Rugs closing in on Ronnie from Heusingfeld. Now, these two are 5th and 4th, respectively. Gap between them is closing a little bit, but I think the thing is Tobias is driving within the limits of himself. We have seen several people that have driven outside of their limits.
Yes, outside of the track limits.
Oh yes, and Tobias then instantly obliges with just coming out of turn 9 and deciding, I missed my braking point, or that was a bit late on the turn in, wasn't it? But Fabrizio has got Lucas from the ADAC, I think, just behind, and that's the battle for 7th and 8th position as we are past the halfway point.
The field kind of split up by now into several different groups. We have
Lucas has just dropped it on the outside of T1, so all that hard work has gone to nothing.
Now it's catch-up time again.
There's that was a bump from behind. Tobias bumped Ronnie from Heusingfeld, who's literally just slowed down. And now it's going to be a scramble. So Tobias, as a result of that push, gets up into 4th position. That's Andy from Deutsche Payment looking now. That's going to be towards the inside through into turn 4.
That, I think.
Yeah, Andy from Deutsche Payment up the inside, riding the curbs, now going through turn 5. And he's got through on Andy from the guy from Speedy Rugs. Who nearly bumps Andy up the backside as well, for good measure. You know what? They say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But don't try and yeet somebody off the circuit, please.
That's not nice. We don't want that. But Andy here, being the happy third party, kind of gaining an advantage from the two drivers in front of him fighting it out, going a bit too close to each other and saying, thank you, I'll take 4th place and I'll see if I can get up to 3rd, but that would be quite some time because there's 4 seconds separating the guys.
Yeah.
And we're mainly, I mean, we even have a big gap here now after, I think this is, between the 6th and 7th place, there's around about 7 seconds. And we have, the field kind of split up into several different groups. Yannick still running behind the 1st place, trying his best, but just not succeeding. Sometimes it's not for it. Like, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, so Alexander from ADAC, we're now currently on to lap number 9 of this race with just under 8 minutes to go. Riding on board with Jules from Nakon. And looks to try and get the overspeed. This is going up the hill through turn 2 into the right-hander here at turn 3. Is he going to get the crossover? Not quite, but is going to get the better traction coming out of the corner. And let's see, that's Lucas from the ADAC just up ahead. And we'll get the side draft now. This is going to be the run down to turn 4, nearly alongside each other.
Who's later on the brakes?
It's going to be Jules. It's going to be Jules up the inside. But now, could Lucas get the undercut? He does, and they tangle. Bit of wheel bashing there, I'm afraid. But luckily enough,
everything went well.
As well as it could be, because otherwise we could have had 2 very broken Formula 4 cars here at the Red Bull Ring. But you know what? Lucas is not giving up. Sparks fly from the bottom of the rear diffuser on the Formula 4 car for Jules from Nakon. But Lucas from the ADAC is not giving up. And despite that gap now starting to extend after that little exchange, still got 6 3/4 minutes to go here, Corby.
That's more than enough time.
Oh, Lucas goes wide out of turn 9, but that means he can actually get a good approach coming into turn 10. Still, that's exceeding track limits, and that would be... I hate to think how many black marks everyone has got. Well,
I mean, if we would apply 5-second time penalties for 3 track limits, I think we would all end with like double the race time.
I think we would have multiple people in the pit lane, multiple times. And now again, side by side, nearly banging side walls. As Jules looking to get one up on Lucas from the ADAC. Now this is going up the hill into turn 3. Lucas goes defensive. Squeezes Jules there. And now Andy from Deutsche Payment. Now, who has he got up in front of him? I'm trying to remember now who's in 3rd position. And that's Tom from Gridfinder. So Tom has done a really, really good job. I did tell him to bring his A game. Well, obviously that kind of motivational speech works.
I think if he would have not told him, he would have not brought it. And I mean, entirely your
my doing.
Yeah.
Well, I did say to him, well, you're going to be playing a game. Now, he has been racing in real life this season, so that experience has really, really helped. But now, Andy from Deutsche Payment looking for P3. Now coming out of the final corner, 5 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Andy from Deutsche Payment runs wide, now gets the side draft. He's going to be going towards the outside of turn 1.
Difficult to overtake here, but might squish him into the inside. Getting a better exit. No, he just is later on the brakes and works it out perfectly fine. Actually, very, very clean and nice overtake there.
Well, the thing was that Andy from Deutsche Payment actually had the overspeed whilst going side by side with Tom from Gridfinder, and that allowed him to pull past. So by the time he was on the rumble strips on the outskirts of the entrance into turn 1, he knew that he could just keep it pinned where he was, and he knew that Tom could not defend against it. However, through turn 3...
I think there was a little mistake, right?
There was a slight error, and that's going to allow Tom from Gridfinder to pull on in. We ride on board with the 4th place car, heading into turn 4.
Showing himself on the mirrors, but not trying it, just too big of a space, pushing him wide. The pressure is showing for Andy, getting nervous.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a clean-up on R3 moment there, coming out of that corner, going through turn 5.
Bit of a code brown.
Yes, that's the first time that's probably going to be said this weekend in regards to racing. Hopefully not too often, Corby. But never mind. We carry on. 4 minutes to go, and a great battle for 3rd and 4th position with Andy from Deutsche Payment and Tom from Gridfinder battling over P3. Alexander from ADAC still has a comfortable lead. It's nigh on double between him and Yannick Haustein from the SimRacing Expo. 6.1 seconds is the gap. Tom is looking to try and get that traction out of corners. Now he's in the slipstream. Down across the start-finish line they go onto lap 12. Looks like we've had someone exceeding track limits coming through turn 10 just there. We ride back on board with Tom from Grid Finder.
I think he might get a really good chance. Up the second straight, up the hill into the Ramos corner.
Yeah.
Oh, going really wide. If there would have actually been those... How are they called?
Sorry?
Or whatever.
Yeah. Don't do that to me.
You're not listening to me.
I am trying to listen to you, but I'm concentrating on the screen as well at the same time. 3 minutes to go still. But Corby, this is a great battle between the pair.
Yes. I think this is the great battle, this fantastic race deserves. We will see if Tom will try to send it down the inside. No. Inside is getting covered. Around the outside, not far enough. Maybe now a switchback. No, no chance. Very well defended by Andy. Taking it around the track for another lap, but there will be at least 1 or 2 more laps for Tom to gain back that place number 3 and to stand on the podium. I mean, that's if he would have had a podium here, that would have been a big thing.
Oh yeah, they'd be cracking open the non-alcoholic champagne. What am I talking about with non-alcoholic? They probably would like...
No, I mean, we're in Franconia. We'll be cracking up beer.
Yeah, well, in the Middle East, that'd be a completely different story altogether. 2 minutes to go, and we're on to what's going to be the 13th. I'm just wondering whereabouts on the circuit our leader, Alexander from ADAC, is right now, because we've still got this battle. Now, he's coming through turn 3, so after this one, it will be... We'll have a completion of 14 laps in total of this race. So Alexander from ADAC. So we'll go through the running order. So we got Alexander from ADAC in first position, 7.4 seconds back. Yannick Hauerstein for SimRacing Expo in P2. Then we've got the battle raging on between Andy from Deutsche Payment and Tom from Grid Finder, 3rd and 4th. So that's your top 4 positions. Yeah, so 14 laps, but it's been an absolutely sterling ride from Alexander from ADAC, hasn't it?
It has been spectacular. It has been clean, with the exception of probably the first lap, but that was only a little hiccup and nothing big to worry about. And other than that, I mean, if you give him a bit more time, he's probably going to lap the first cars. He's probably going to lap the poor 11th and 12th placed drivers. So if you're seeing about 1:30 of a lap time, he's already close to lapping.
Yeah, that's true. As now Alexander from ADAC effectively goes on to the final lap of this race, into turn 1 for the final time, and not even the diminutive powers of one Yannick Hauerstein have psyched out the Dane, so that's been pretty good. It just goes to show how inclusive. It doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, your personality. If you are a racer in the sim racing world, you are good.
Yes,
and Alexander has proved that,
and he has proved that in a truly spectacular and incredibly dominating fashion.
Well,
making his way around the last time.
So, Corby, I'm going to hand it over to you, buddy. Take us through the final few corners of the first of 2 races for the exhibitors here at the ADAC SimRacing Expo.
I mean, it was a blast here in Austria, in Styria, on the Red Bull Ring. A race that delivered from beginning to the end, and the driver who delivered from beginning to the end, that was clearly Alexander ADAC. Clean qualifying, already dominating back there, and then in the race he shows his true potential. He shows how clean and fast he can drive, and he dominates the entire grid and manages to drive it home cleanly, going around the finish line and marking in that first spot. But we still have some fights in the field. We still have Ronnie from Husingveld trying to get up 1 more place, trying to get that 5th place back. But it will be difficult. The last few corners typically not where you overtake, but it might be the desperate try in the last lap, not close enough, sending it in, getting really close, maybe into the last corner, pushing at least the car in front wide, but no real chance to set up an overtake, and we will have the next pair of drivers driving home. Ronnie will stay on 6th place, giving like a little bump of love after
a love
finishing.
tap. A love tap. There we go. But there we have our results. So Alexander from Azatec, pole position, fastest lap, and also our race 1 winner by. I'm not going to embarrass Yannick now. Actually, I'm going to embarrass him. 8.6 seconds.
Yeah, that is a lot in racing.
Yeah.
Especially if the race is only 20 minutes long.
Yeah, and we still got one more qualifying session, plus an additional 15-minute race coming up. There you can see some of them getting out of the simulators there.
Yeah, getting instructed how everything will go for the second race, where we will move over from Austria to Germany to the Norris Ring, and we will have a blast. There it will be really punishing, I think. That is the big difference. You don't have any runoff areas.
Yep.
You don't have grass. You don't have all of those nice things that will keep you from hitting the wall when you don't hit the corner perfectly, when you're not perfectly braking. You are going to be in the wall.
All I'm going to say is Charlotte S's, folks.
Oh, yes.
3 wide into there.
Oh, yes.
Never works. I don't care who you are, what car it is, you will be in the wall.
Yes.
And that is the ultimate definition of being yeeted. You will be in the barriers, you cannot do anything about it, and you have to just get on with the race itself. So there we've got other drivers now deciding to get in, and you know what, even though this is, you know, we're getting towards the end of the first day, it's so good to actually be able to have that real visceral atmosphere of people here in person, no airs, no graces, no one can hide.
No.
And if
there's the little laugh tap,
yes,
you can't hide from the step back in real life.
There you go. Not a bump of love like you said earlier on. A love tap. So you're learning something.
I'm learning some English.
Learning something. Yeah, some colloquialisms, folks. But again, one of the things that I love about sim racing is the attention to detail, the realism. Yes. A lot of the simulators nowadays, especially when you look at when we had the recent announcement that the new LMDH GTP car, the BMW MV8 Hybrid, is coming to iRacing. And you know when they first started doing that? You remember when the GT4 came, well, what was it? When Turner Motorsport allowed full access to iRacing to scan, if I remember correctly, the BMW M4, and I think it was either the GT3, and that was the first car. That was the first collaboration with BMW. They've done so many other cars since then.
Yeah.
But, folks, the Norris Ring is only 1.5 kilometers away. We have Norris Ring. We have tin top action. We've got the TCR cars, so we're going to have the Audi RS3 LMS. The Come2U car, Gilles Magnus, one of the many drivers that have been racing with them, Nat Berton, Tom Coronel, amongst others. And, you know, the Audi RS3 LMS, when it was first released in its second gen that we're seeing here now, it's actually partially camouflaged. Because they didn't want to give all the secrets away. So
they didn't want all the tricks.
Tom Coronel rocked up at the opening round of the World Touring Car Cup with a DHL stroke camo livery. And unfortunately for him, it was black and white. There was no white and yellow, because, I mean,
the zebra livery.
Yes, exactly. So,
yeah, while we see all the drivers getting ready, maybe like an opportunity to again give a big shout out to the guys at RaceRoom, Holger, who does all the organizational stuff, makes everything run so smoothly that we can experience this fantastic drive. And just to remind you guys again, this is the same, or those are the same setups, the same rigs where we will be driving tomorrow on the Community Trophy final. And there we will not see the exhibitors. There we will see a closed field. There we will see a packed field, intense racing action. Everything those guys worked on will be on the line. I mean, it's the Community Trophy finals. It is not the first race. It is one of the many. Like, there was a series of races leading up to this. They had to qualify for this. And now they're here on a LAN environment, and obviously they will be pumped. Obviously they will be hyped to perform at their highest level.
Yeah, and with this particular circuit, which has been around for 74 years in operation, it is brutal, it is fast, it is heavy braking. Now, thing is, TCR cars based on real-life machinery, so yes. None of this NGTC rubbish. Sorry, BTCC. I love the class, don't get me wrong, but TCR has been one of the biggest flourishing categories within the touring car community. You know, you can go in real life. You can go and buy a 3-year-old car for, let's say, 50,000 euros, and you can run it for 2 to 3 years, and it's quite cost effective in terms of the repair costs. So there's a lot of shared componentry, roll cages. Of course, there are times when cars aren't exactly needing to see a doctor, they need to see a surgery team. Yeah. And that's been on many an occasion in the past. But the Norris Ring, you know, that car, I mean, oh, here we go. Lucas has selected, oh, thank goodness, it's got Nathaniel Burton's livery, not Tom Caronel's, but they run the same livery, ComTU Racing.
Beautiful yellow.
Well, I mean, if that yellow was radioactive, it would glow in the dark right now. Because they're getting some of the drivers into their aligned simulators. And it looks like Lucas is going to be fighting for pride and honour for the ADAC once again. And this is what I love about this. You know, you can hear, we can hear the laughter, the chat in the background. It's so different to being at the comfort of your own home, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And I mean, that's also the big point. Everyone here is enjoying his time, even though, or his or her time, even though probably, I mean, someone has to finish last, someone has to finish second to last, but they still enjoy the time. They still enjoy the race in the simulators here provided by RaceRoom. And they enjoy, I mean, they enjoy much more than that. They enjoy the company of their fellow competitors. Ah, look at this image. It's Yannick Haustein, you know, the animal, alone on a wild field, looking for prey.
Is he like the young upstart wolf in the wolf pack?
Yeah. look at this face, look at this smile, you know.
Yeah, because he knows we're talking about him, because everyone can hear us. Right. But, I mean, you know, you look at the amount of cars that have been within the WTCR spectrum, or TCR in general. You look at, like, the Honda Civic Type R, the Lincoln Co. Scion Racing 03, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, which, funnily enough, was run by Romeo Ferraris. Of course, now we've got ETCR, which is now a globally recognised championship, which has got marks like Alfa Romeo, even though it's Romeo Ferraris. Michele Cerruti, former racing driver, now team boss, is running that crew. Hyundai, you know, the Elantra NTCR and also the i30 NTCR have been part and parcel of the field. I mean, you know, Cupra. I mean, for those that have watched everything on RaceRoom, you know, there's also
big part
the Cupra SimRacing Series, which is the Cupra Leon Competition.
I had the honor to do the German commentary on the Cupra SimRacing series last year, and it was always a pleasure to watch those Cupras battle it out on the field, because again, it was same setup, fixed setup, even playing field, and you have those super intense battles that only are decided by the skill of the player and of the driver in this moment.
Have to also give a shout out to one of the guys from the English commentary side, Lewis McGlade.
Yes, please.
As well. So, yeah, he's been a very, very busy man as always. So haven't we all? Right, circuit length itself, 2.3 kilometres. That's just a shade over 1.4 miles.
Exactly.
8 corners in total. The fastest ever recorded lap was done by Switzerland's Nico Müller in the Class 1 Audi RS5 Turbo DTM. Lap time 46.618 seconds.
So if we said the Red Bull Ring is a comparably short circuit, this is nothing compared to the Norris Ring.
So, I mean, we're literally, as I said earlier, we're a couple of kilometres away, not just from the circuit, but the banks of the Dutzendteich. We're also not that far away from the hometown of 2-time DTM champion Marco Wittmann, who's based out of Fürth. And his dad has a body shop over there as well. So, which Marco, in his early days, was still very much involved with. I had the pleasure of actually seeing Marco win both his DTM titles at the Hockenheimring back in 2014 and 2016. And also 2016, there were 2 particular drivers in the DTM that were running with BMW at that time, said their farewell. Martin Tomczyk and Antonio Felix da Costa. Congratulations to Antonio for becoming part of Jota Sport and winning this year's FIA World Endurance Championship in the LMP2 class. We are hopefully very shortly going to be getting underway with, well, there might be a little bit of practice, I think, because everyone's going to have to worry about the walls. Because 8 corners, I mean, we know where the most sends are going to happen. Grundig, turn 2.
Definitely. I mean, that's the same with the turn 2 on the Red Bull Ring. Like, first turn is like, I mean, that's a kink, or it's like a straight line where someone just walked a bit to the right.
Yeah.
And then we have the real first turn. And that's, as you said,
exactly. I mean, 8 turns. The problem is, I mean, these cars might be narrow, but if you try, as I said earlier on, you try and get them 3 wide into turns 4 and 5. That is the Schoeller S's, and I've reported on the DTM many a year. I still remember Jamie Green Jamie Green doing a robust manoeuvre up the inside, and that was on the...
Robust,
which is basically elbows out, folks. That was turn 7. Now, both he and Bruno Spengler have the same amount of wins at the Norris Ring. Jamie Green, for a number of years, was the king of the was Mr. Norris Ring, and then Bruno Spengler equalled the record.
Oh.
So
now they're battling it out for...
Well, the thing is that Jamie now runs a karting team where his son competes, and his son is a chip off the old block. It's pretty rapid. And, you know, Bruno's obviously doing a lot of things. He's doing a lot of sim racing these days. I had a quick chat with him earlier on in Hall 9. Recently had a baby boy, and he said, I get even more nervous when I'm sim racing, and that's from a professional driver.
And that's a really interesting statement.
It is,
because you don't have like the danger of the real life cars. I mean, you might be in an accident, you might hit the wall, there might be something happening. You don't have that in sim racing, and still he feels more nervous. I think very, very interesting statement.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Bruno is one of 2 DTM champions.
Yeah, I mean, he knows everything. He knows the cars inside out.
I still remember when he went over, started racing over in IMSA at the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and it was so good to see, like the lineups that BMW with Andreas Wolfsnau behind everything at BMW M Motorsport over in Munich. The LMP, the LMDH lineups. I mean, Nick Yellerly, a fellow Brit, getting a full-time opportunity stateside. It's great to see that. One of the things that I love, and I'm going to bring a little bit of DTM knowledge into this.
Please.
So the new MV8 LMDH hybrid from BMW has the 4-litre V8 engine that was used in the M3 and the M4 DTM, now is turbocharged and is stuck in the LMDH.
Damn. So they got some more horsepowers out of that turbocharger.
Well, I mean, the thing is that obviously with any regulations with GTP and LMDH, they're going to have to work to a certain spec. So they were like saying, yeah, this is the maximum output. That, like hybrid power, and also the gearbox is exactly the same, but they can choose their choice of power plant. And yeah, 4-litre V8, not bad choice there, BMW.
Definitely. Also going for the sound, Like that's also a big part of racing, the sound.
I mean, when you talk about combustion engines and electric racing, like say Formula E, for instance, you know, the Gen 3 cars are recently being unveiled. I mean, Pascal Wehrlein now teamed with Felix da Costa at Porsche, which is a really exciting pairing. Porsche have just unveiled the 99X Gen 3 car, which has no rear braking systems. I think a lot of this technology now is fly-by-wire, but we're digressing a little bit because we are waiting for time qualifying to start. So it is going to be 13 minutes for quali.
But I would say we should get on our ways relatively soon. If you look over towards the race room booth, it looks everything very, very much smoothly working. Every driver now in his seat, in his rig, getting ready, getting the first practice.
Well, I've just seen ascend and a half and then a hit into the barriers. I think that was Tom from Gridfinder.
So he'll be happy. To not be on the stream, and then you do him like this, you know?
He won't be happy I mentioned it.
Yes.
He'll probably be laughing about that. But this circuit is bumpy. There's undulations. There's uneven road surfaces, so different tarmac compositions. And you're in a spec touring car. So this is what I like about the fact that tomorrow we're going to be going to the classics. And we have to say a big shout-out to our good friends over at Retro Classics Bavaria. You all would have seen a little bit earlier on me sort of drooling over the Batmobile, the BMW 3-litre CSL, a car of my childhood. Now, I grew up with BMW as a brand. My dad had a 528i, and then he had a couple of the 6 Series, the old shark nose cars back in the 80s, which was pretty cool. But I'm wondering what speeds we are going to see from these cars. I think, you know, when you look about it, the DTM cars were pushing over 150 miles an hour, so we're talking about 260
on the straight. I mean, even though the Norris Ring is relatively short, it is essentially one very long straight and then back again. So it is quite a high-speed track. And for it being not a permanent, but rather a temporary racetrack inside of a city, overtaking opportunities are most definitely present here.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're even seeing some of the drivers in the simulators leaning from side to side. So like, because the thing is, like corners with Grundig and Dusenteich, you are on full lock.
Yes.
It's basically like doing what?
Like who can turn the wheel faster?
Yeah. Forget the 3-point turn. I'm doing it Yui. Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna test.
I'm wondering if Dan Terry from SimRacing GPR. Right. I spot a Liquid Moly livery on the bonnet. So that says to me Hyundai i30 because Luca Engsler.
Yes.
Ran well because it's his dad's team, Team Engsler. They were originally VW Golf, VW Custom Racing team, but then they switched to Hyundai with the i30N and had some pretty good success.
So we'll see how good the Hyundai will perform today on
in Dan's hands.
In Dan's hands.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a big, I don't know, plus in some sense. Let's be positive for once.
Oh yes. You know what I'm positive about? The racing.
Yes, definitely.
So it is going to be it's going to be 5 minutes shorter. So we're going to have 15 minutes of racing. Now, Alexander from Azatec, pole position, lights out to checkered flag, victory, and also the fastest lap of the race. I fear there may be trouble ahead, my friend.
Yeah.
Corby.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it will be interesting. I mean, it's a quite different track. I don't know if he might have just by accident practiced a lot of the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and maybe he's not so familiar with the Norris Ring. That might be an interesting aspect, which I kind of hope for, because I want to have more competition. I want to have a first place which is fought for, where we have 2, 3, 4 competitors driving against each other and trying to get that top spot, the top 1 finish. All right, everyone in the practice session. So we're just moments away from getting into qualifying on the Norris Ring.
Yeah, and these cars all are 2-litre inline 4 turbocharged engines. Now, funnily enough, TCR Europe visited the Norris Ring this year. That was on the first weekend Actually, was running alongside the DTM and the DTM Trophy this year. And that was the 1st to the 3rd of July. And this year's champion just so happened to be Franco Girolami from Argentina, with Tom Coronel and Great Britain's Josh Files rounding out the top 3 places.
Very nice. Maybe to give you some more numbers about the Norris Ring here, because it is quite an interesting racetrack. It is not a real racetrack. I mean, it is a temporary track, so that means every year, once a year, it is completely transformed. All the area where you could normally walk around, not even think about this being a racetrack, for maybe here and there some fences standing around. This is all built into a racetrack. You get 7 kilometers of crash barriers. You get 2 kilometers of concrete walls for all of this track. You get 27.8 kilometers of fences. So simply the amount of things that have to build together to create this racetrack, this legendary racetrack, is incredible. It's unbelievable.
It is. And also the iconic grandstand.
Oh, yes.
I mean...
iconic in more than one way, I would argue.
It has a historical significance.
Yes.
Through, obviously, what's happened in the past, which we won't be touching on. But, you know, in July, it's hot, it's humid. There are people packed to the rafters in the grandstands. Either it's a cold beverage of their choice or an ice cream in the hand. Well,
Norris Ring, one of the rather few counterclockwise circuits as well.
Right, we have got a slight technical issue from our side. However, they are getting underway with the racing, so we are actually going to give you a viewpoint from Jules from Nacon, who's starting in 11th position. Right, I see the Cupra Leon Competition just up ahead.
Beautiful car.
Lovely car. Into turn 2.
Already sending it in.
I told you. I said it was going to be chaos, and one of the Audi has just been properly T-boned through turn 2. And this is where they're going to build the speed up. So it's going to be into the Charlotte S's. Turn 4 and 5. Take it easy through there. Don't try and squeeze anybody, otherwise you're going to be either in the outside wall or the inside wall, depending on the approach of which part of the circuit you're in.
Both equally unpleasant.
Yeah, 5th gear and going into the turn 7 corner. That's where the robust move from Jamie Green a few years ago happened. They were pushing around about 180 kilometers an hour in 6th gear, and you can now see we're keeping with Jules from Nacon across the start-finish line. 180, 190. It's going to be 6th gear.
And we're going up faster, and then around this slight right kink, and now it's quite difficult to actually hold the car stable because it's not a completely straight braking.
Oh, that was the Elantra. Oh, and Jules from Nacon just absolutely mullers the right-hand side of the car into the barriers. Going into the braking zone for turn 2, he was doing 140 miles an hour. That's 220 kph in top gear. Then you're all the way down the gearbox. You're banging through the gears down to first. And you've got to nail that apex.
Yes.
I mean, if anyone might remember a particular DTM incident at the Norris Ring a few years ago, where a certain couple of drivers, one of which who was here, had a massive incident.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to mention who, but...
Yeah, we will keep the incidents out.
We keep the incidents out, but Jules from Nacon currently sitting in P7. So...
Going back along the start-finish straight... Again into turn 1. We see battles evolving up front. Might be a good thing for him, so he can catch up again. Racing quite clean. I mean, you said it's going to be crazy at the start. I felt like it was a rather carnage, right? Turn 1.
Carnage is the biggest understatement, to be completely honest with you there, Corby. But great to have Tin Top Racing at the Norris Ring, located 1.5 kilometres from our current location. So we haven't ventured far. It might not be a purpose-built racetrack, but it's as close as we were ever going to get here at the Nürnberg Messe. So Jules currently is about 1.7 seconds behind. That is Tobias. As well, someone's trying... Tobias from Speedy Guys was looking towards the outside of the Audi. might have gotten through. Not 100% sure on that, because we are trying to keep an eye on proceedings, and you can see that they're even using the rear view mirror function on the Asher Racing steering wheel, that are all on the RaceRoom Experience simulators that will be used for the Community Trophy tomorrow evening. We'll be at this very circuit, and what's more, we will also be using the Porsche Carrera Classics, and a bit of a squeeze coming through turn 2. Just goes to show that in a tin top, you are never afraid of sending it up the inside, Corby.
And squeezing right through. And I mean, he gains a place. So he'll be happy. He'll be like, all right, I did the perfect move. Not going perfectly through the Scheller S. Bit of a wall contact there on the exit. But no chance to capitalize. Oh, very late on the brakes. That's more than a laugh tap.
That was more. That was a proper hit, and he's just got. And there's afters. There's afters as well.
And you can't turn around. Okay.
Well,
he gets a turn around.
Scrape the wall there. That was like, one. They do say that one good turn deserves another, but two wrongs never make a right. And we got that perfectly personified right there. Gilles from Nacon still holding on in 8th position. Was up to 7th at one point. So the drivers are going to keep on pushing. We've got 10.5 minutes of this 15-minute race still remaining in the second of 2 races between the exhibitors.
And it's already been action-filled with elbows out maneuvers from start to finish. Carnage into turn 1 right after the start.
Oh, a little bit further ahead. There was a locking up of brakes. And that just goes to show how hard these drivers are pushing. It really is quite entertaining.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes still to go. 5 minutes completed of this TCR exhibition race here at the virtual setting of the iconic Norris Ring circuit here in Nuremberg. And again, just looking at Jules' approach, just getting very close to the wall, scrapes with the right fronts. That loses a little bit of time. You know, you've got to really, here at the Norris Ring, you've got to be pretty much perfect on how you approach the corner. And going through the Scheller S's like that, that's going to be a trip into the wall. Not quite.
But
I still remember Gary Paffett's trip into the wall a few years ago when it was still the C-Class, when they had the saloon silhouette as opposed to the coupe. He'd had in the latter times of the latter years of Mercedes, when Gary Paffett finally, after many years of trying, picked up his second DTM title 11 years later after picking up the first.
That's also quite remarkable. Not many drivers manage to keep it up on that level for such a long time.
Well, I mean, you know, you look at how long Bruno Spengler had been in that championship. So now we're with Yannick from the ADAC SimRacing Expo. Currently sitting in second, but it looks like it's going to be a clean sweep for Alexander from Azatec.
Once again. But also kind of clean from Yannick in some sense. I mean, you just by watching him drive compared to what we've seen before, you know that he's been on the Norris Ring in a sim before.
Oh, yes. That just goes to show that a lot of people will definitely test themselves over multiple hundreds or maybe even thousands of laps on the RaceRoom on RaceRoom Experience. So, and it is a considerable gap. So we should hopefully now I can now see. Yannick decided to go with the Audi from ComTU Racing. Lucas from the ADAC hasn't been a good one for him. He's currently down in 12th. He's in 11th position. As Wolfgang from Get Closer Racing is, they're side by side, heading down into the first corner. There's a touch between the two, a little bit of paint swapping, and Wolfgang looking to get the crossover a little bit further up the road. Tom from Grid Finder getting the elbows out.
And we're on the server right through the Scheller S twice, double wide, and now running it down into the last corner of the track. Tom trying to send it down the inside line.
And he's trying to get through that Jules from Nacon, who's very, very close to the wall on the outside. of the corner as they make their way through the very next left, and that's going to bring them across another lap here at the Norris Ring. So Alexander from ADAC looking to make the double. Martin from Deutsche Payment tags the right front in the Elantra NTCR, the latest generation car from Hyundai. And
the Shell-S.
Wolfgang from Get Closer Racing looking to get past Lucas from the ADAC. This is going to be heading up through
turn 1.
Oh, did you hear that squeal of brakes?
the tyres really don't like him.
Stefan from RaceRoom has decided to get in on the ante as well. He's currently running in P6 ahead of, behind Martin from Deutsche Payment. And has gone with the Munich Motorsport livery run by Esteban Gutierrez, amongst others, in years past. 6.25 minutes to go. 10 laps completed, so this circuit very, very short indeed. 1.4 miles. Best part of nearly 2.5 kilometres. He's running in the livery of Mikael Ashkenar, who this year picked up the final ever FIA World WTCR Cup Championship. And Stefan from RaceRoom is going to give him something to think about as they go into the Scholler S's here at turns 4 and 5. Stefan was looking very, very neat up the inside. Through turn 4 as Martin hits the wall. Martin hits the wall coming out of turn 5. And now it's up the Zeppelinstrasse through into the kink here at turn 6. Will Stefan send it through into the tight corner? He's going to go a bit tighter. I think he clipped the barrier ever so slightly there, robbed the left-hand side of the Honda Civic, but is still keeping things rather honest.
Trying to get a better run through the start, finish straight down into the Grundekehre.
You see, again, I'm giving the English variations unless it's a German one and I know it. But Alexander from ADAC running in the colours of Zengo Motorsports, Rob Huff, who had to withdraw from the final round of this season in the FIA WTCR, running in the Cupra Leon Competition.
And I mean, if you look at the lap times and the gap between Alexander and last place, we might get close to a lapping.
We might very well get close. I mean, they're running in the Yannick Hauenstein running in the 56.9s, so 56.944 as he comes across the line in the Audi RS3 LMS. Oh, great work from Dan from SimRacing GP, currently P3 in the Honda Civic in the Liquimoly Team Enxler colours. And also, nice to see a Portuguese name there. I've mentioned one tonight, I'm going to mention another, Tiago Monteiro. Great guy. And a very, very good racer in his own right. So,
most definitely.
Martin from Deutsche Payment.
Bit close there.
Now that might have been Ronnie from Heusingfeld, I believe, in 5th position in the Cupra Leon.
Exactly.
And Ronnie's gone sideways through the Scholler S's, hangs on to that, and I think
and even hits the barrier on the exit.
He needs to check his underwear after that, I think.
Yeah.
Go like, whoa! Didn't want that happening.
And you know, like in German, there's this funny saying of "Fährst du quer, siehst du mehr." So it means like, if you slide, you see more of the track.
Yeah, exactly.
So you should definitely do that.
Yeah, well, Stefan from RaceRoom's giving him something to think about. And that will be coming out of the final corner out of turn 8 down the Beutnerstrasse. Tobias from Speedy Rugs rounds out the top 7, followed by just trying to think who that is behind in the Cupra in the 99. That's the livery of Daniel Nage. Tom from Gridfinder rounding out the top 8 with 3 minutes on the timer to go.
Top 8 separated by around about 25 seconds.
And that's going to give us another 4 laps.
Yes.
The pace that Alexander from ADAC is showcasing. Branimir from the Racing Hub rounding out the top 10, 35 seconds behind the race leader. As Lucas from the ADAC, currently sitting in 11th position, with Wolfgang from Get Closer Racing rounding out the 12-strong grid.
And they're really fighting for this.
They are
11th place. Even though it's only the 11th place, they're having their own race. They're having their own fun, and they're having Alexander from ADAC right up their backs, who's looking to lap them in a bit. I don't think they will be able to prevent this, other than if they kind of yeet him off the track, but they probably won't do that. And we will have Alexander Azatek not only driving home probably his second victory, but also this time lapping the last 2 cars.
Indeed, indeed. So 1 minute and 45 seconds still remain. It's going to be double Danish delight for Alexander from Azatek. So we're going to go on to our 16th lap, what will be, I think,
the second last lap.
Yeah, penultimate lap. And now he's got back marker traffic in front of him. He's got to negotiate that.
Yeah.
Now, back marker traffic normally spells trouble with a capital T-R-O-U-B-L-E on it. But he's negotiating it very, very well indeed. Coming through the Charlotte S's, keeps away from the wall. So just goes to show we are, well, he's lapped.
We're driving the same liveries.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is he's already lapped Wolfgang from Get Closer Racing, and now into the Dutzendteich-Kehrer. He's trying to get past Lucas from the ADAC, and Lucas is wanting to fight him coming out of turn 8. So on to the 17th and final lap of this second exhibitors race here at the 2022 ADAC SimRacing Expo. It's Alexander from Azatek that is leading the way ahead of Yannick Haustein. Looks it's going to be a repeat of the 1-2 that we saw in the Formula 4 adventure in Styria at the Red Bull Ring, with Dan from SimRacing GP looking to round out the top 3 in the best way possible. Stefan from RaceRoom trying to close in on the car in front. This is going into Grundig at turn 2. You can hear the brake squealing. Love tap from behind on the car in front. That's Ronnie from Heusingfeld. And now the timer hits 0. That's it. Let's catch up with our race leader from Azatek Sim Sports. It's going to be the car of Alexander, and here he comes out of the final corner. Time is expired, and he brings the Coupe Relais Competition across the line, and he is the man that will bring bragging rights. And here comes Yannick Haustein across the line to finish P2, and a bit of weaving to celebrate. Well done to Dan Terry from SimRacing GP, getting ever so close to the barriers at the end of it all. Martin from Deutsche Payment rounds out the top 4. It's going to be a little bit of a run to the line. Ronnie from Heusingfeld completes the top 5 ahead of Stefan from RaceRoom. Tom from Gridfinder rounds out the top 8, and he's going to be ahead of Tobias from Speedy Rugs. Out of the final corner, it's going to be Jules from Nakon, the publisher for WRC Generations. Branimir from the Racing Hub. But, Corby,
it was a pleasure.
The Danes have done it,
yeah.
And I'm hoping the beers are on them tonight.
Oh, yes, definitely. I guess that's the disadvantage of getting the bragging, right?
Yeah, you have to buy the beers at the end of the night.
But Alexander from Azatek, I think he really deserved this. The class he showed us in the sim was really on another level in some sense. Yeah, I don't really want to say it, but completely destroying Yannick Haustein in second place, who I think disappointed us all.
Well, he's only got himself to blame. Well, that wraps up the first bit of real racing action here at the ADAC SimRacing Expo for 2022. Corby, it's the first of many. I'm looking forward to what tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday have got.
It will be some fantastic racing action. I think what we've seen right now was only the beginning, and there's so much more to come.
Well, let's hand it back over to Luca Mazzi on the main stage. Guys, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. First of all, did a great job. That was amazing. Thanks so much for commentating. And we are here already with the prize, which I like a lot.
Yeah, worst thing is, I'm not sure if Alexander, well, he doesn't look like he's old enough to even drink these beers. So if he wants, he is, he's fine. But if he does want to pass them over, it's absolutely fine. Just waiting for him to, I'm not sure whether he's quite over here or not to do the presentation. There we go. So I can see him being pushed over now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he's coming over now. So just a quick recap as to what we had here then. So we had a race 1, which was the Formula 3 at Spielberg. Alexander from ADAC, of course, winning race 1. Lights the flag win, as he did in race number 2. Yannick from ADAC SimRacing Expo finished second in both races as well. And 2 different podium finishes for each race. We had Andy from Deutsche Payments in race number 1 and Dan from SGP in race number 2. But on aggregate, the winner of our exhibition mini championship and the winner of all of these beers is Alexander from ADAC. Hopefully he can appear on stage. There he is. He's there. He's going to run. Okay. He'll be here in very, very shortly. But it was 2 incredible performances. Didn't really have much pressure put on him, to be honest, because, like I said, it was lights to flag. So an easy day in the office to win yourself 12 premium beers.
Isn't that nice? I'd say, like, for every minute he is not showing up on stage, we will drink one of the beers, right?
That's true. It's not 12. Danny lied to me. There's 20 beers there.
Is it?
There is actually 20. Oh, no, there's 12. There's 12 beers. There's only 12.
beers.
Yeah, it's only 12.
You can't count anymore. After one day, you can't count anymore.
No, I'm saying we could take 8. There's still 12.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's introduce our winner then. It is Alexander from ADAC. Congratulations,
and here he comes. Congratulations, mate. Come on in.
Come and stand in the middle.
I wanted to hand it over to you, but you have the microphone, so
yeah, and I'm not sure he's quite strong enough to hold all those beers.
No, I hold it. I hold it. No worries.
We'll take him on.
Yeah, you can start the interview.
First of all, congratulations, mate. 2 comprehensive races, to be fair. But yeah, tell us how you're feeling being the champion of all of the exhibitors in the land.
Oh, it feels good. I don't know what to say really. Out of words.
Hey, don't get better in racing, because you have to do that more often then. No worries. But was it good? Were the others nice or were they bad?
Oh, they were very nice, of course. Like they all drove very respectfully. Of course, in the second race I didn't have a rear view mirror, so I couldn't really see behind. But
didn't need to.
Yeah,
what a nice gift, right?
Who needs a rear view mirror when they're 5 seconds behind?
Yeah.
A chance then for you to tell everybody who's watching at home, where can you be found? Where can your massive stage be found here at the Expo?
Oh, it's pretty obvious if you come here. We have a giant screen representing the company. But yeah, you're going to be finding us a little bit, I think, towards the back of the inn, like from the entrance.
Hall 9's the easy answer there, to be fair. Yeah. Well, Hall 9, there we go. Well, congratulations, mate. There's your beers, and, enjoy them.
Well, here you go. Should I carry it for you, or will you do it? You will do it. Now you can't say anything anymore. Our proud winner and your team, just head over to your team, enjoy the beers. Thank you.
Congratulations, mate. He's off, he's gone.
And congrats.
4 beers have already gone now. They've just disappeared. Brings us to the end. Done. Day 1.
I think so. I think
the first day where not too many fans are here, but they'll be coming with the official opening tomorrow. But
exactly,
what an action-packed day we've had.
Hey, I loved it a lot. I learned so much about sim racing, about the future of sim racing, where everybody thinks it's heading, and it's super, super exciting. It's been a great day for me.
Should we do it all again tomorrow?
Yes, of course. I think it's going to be way better tomorrow, even if today was already great. But tomorrow we have super, super interesting panels as well. For example, we create the perfect sim racing rig for you at home with some special guests. So
we certainly do.
It's going to be awesome. Also, we have races, of course. We have the visitor races. We have different other races, big press conference, and we have you. It's going to be an amazing day with you right here in front of our stage. I'm looking really forward to it. You too?
Yeah, for sure. To be fair, the press conference, we're kind of downplaying it. We are going to have a press conference that's going to be all of the teams that are here. They're going to have a representative answer questions that have come from you at home and also from us here at the SimRacing Expo. So you just don't want to miss that for sure.
No, I'm really looking forward to that. Please make sure you're going to join in again on 10:15 tomorrow. We're going to be back right here on this stage and in your stream. Right? So, have a good night. See you tomorrow, guys.
ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I've been waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up.